The station floated silently above the barren planet, its metal frame gleaming faintly under the dim light of a distant sun. Orbital research stations like this were built to endure isolation and silence, but silence often carried its own weight. Captain Elena Rourke sat in her observation chair, staring at the dark expanse below. Her fingers tapped lightly against the armrest as she watched the planet rotate slowly, its surface a mix of jagged rocks and shallow valleys. The crew of the station had grown accustomed to the routines, monitoring the sensors, logging orbital data, and checking on their life support systems. Yet lately the calm of space had been pierced by an unfamiliar signal, a faint, irregular pulse coming from just beyond the planet's orbit. No probe had been sent before. There were no known ships in the system, no nearby colonies, only silence, and now, this whisper of something unknown. "Elena," said Tariq, the station's engineer, stepping into the observation room. His voice carried the usual mix of curiosity and caution. "I've been running the scans again. The source is moving. Slowly, but it's definitely a ship. I don't recognize the energy signature. It's alien." Elena's eyes narrowed. She was used to hearing words like unknown and alien, but this felt different. There was no panic in the station yet, only a quiet tension. "Can we get a visual?" she asked. Tariq nodded and activated the display. A faint shape appeared against the blackness, a long, angular hull drifting in orbit. It was enormous, far larger than anything human had built in this sector. The ship's surface was dark, almost absorbing light, and there were no visible engines. It moved as if it had no purpose, yet its path was deliberate. "It's dormant, maybe abandoned," Tariq said, voice low, "but it's definitely intact. Life support might still be functional, or at least some of it." Elena leaned back, a thoughtful expression on her face. She had trained for encounters like this, had read every manual on alien exploration, yet nothing prepared her for the feeling that rose in her chest. Humans had a way of stepping into the unknown, of challenging what was dangerous and unexplored. This time, it was more than just exploration. It was a mystery, and it was calling them. The station's intercom beeped. "Attention, all personnel. Local time, 23:57, midnight approaching." Elena glanced at the clock. Midnight in the station's time zone, and something in her stomach twisted. She had worked long hours in space, seen strange things on distant worlds, but she had never heard of a station bell ringing in the vacuum of space. And yet, as the seconds ticked closer, a sound filled the station's corridors, a clear metallic chime that seemed to vibrate through the walls. The ship's bell rang, slow and deliberate, though there was no wind to move it, no mechanism that she could detect. It rang once, then again, a steady pulse that resonated in the bones. The crew paused, some instinctively clutching their chests, others frozen in disbelief. "What the hell was that?" one of the junior technicians whispered. Elena rose to her feet, her hands steady despite the unease crawling along her spine. "It's a warning," she said, her voice firm. "Whatever it is, we'll face it. Humans always do." She called the senior crew together in the control room. Tariq and a few others gathered around, staring at the alien ship that now hung in orbit like a dark sentinel. "We're going to investigate," Elena said. "We board that ship. We find out what's going on, and we come back alive. Agreed?" The crew nodded, a mix of fear and resolve shining in their eyes. They had trained for this, drilled for emergencies that now felt abstract. But this was real, more real than any simulation, more real than any emergency they had ever faced. The docking procedures were initiated, the station's smaller craft detaching from the main body. Elena piloted the shuttle personally, her hands steady on the controls. Tariq monitored the systems, while the rest of the team prepared their suits, weapons only as a precaution. The alien ship loomed larger as they approached, its dark hull reflecting distant starlight. It was silent. Too silent. No engines hummed, no life signs pulsed. The airlock was functional, though ancient in appearance, and it slid open with a hiss when they reached the docking port. Inside, the ship was a museum of alien design. Hallways curved in impossible angles, walls glimmered with materials that seemed liquid under the shuttle's lights, and consoles pulsed faintly as though the ship itself were breathing. There was no sign of life, no sound except for the faint echo of the shuttle's entry. Tariq ran his hands along the walls. "This is amazing," he said quietly. "Every surface is active. The ship is awake but empty. It's like it's waiting for someone, waiting for us." The team moved cautiously, their boots echoing softly. Elena led the way, her eyes scanning every corridor, every shadow. "Stay alert," she instructed. "We don't know if this ship is dangerous. We don't even know if it's alive in a way we can understand." As they turned a corner, the bell rang again. Clear and metallic, closer this time, resonating through the hull. It made the team jump, though Elena remained calm. "It's responding to us," she said. "It knows we're here." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. It was one thing to board an abandoned vessel, another to have it actively react to human presence. And yet, Elena felt a strange sense of determination. Humans had faced impossible odds before, and this would be no different. They entered a central chamber, larger than anything the crew had seen on the station. A massive console dominated the room, covered in symbols that glowed faintly. The bell rang again, louder, as if guiding them toward it. Tariq stepped forward, examining the console. "It's some kind of control panel," he said. "I don't recognize the language, but the patterns. They're logical. We can decipher this." Elena nodded. "Do it. Slowly. We need to understand before we touch anything." As Tariq worked, the bell's ringing shifted. It was no longer random. It seemed to form a rhythm, a code. Elena watched closely. The rhythm was deliberate, almost like a heartbeat. The ship itself was alive in a way humans had never encountered. And humans, as always, were determined to understand it. Hours passed. The team documented everything, mapping the ship's corridors, recording data, and cautiously exploring new chambers. Each room revealed more wonders. Alien equipment that hummed with energy, strange containers that defied gravity, and walls that changed color when touched. But the bell never stopped. Midnight had passed, yet it continued its steady, rhythmic toll. The crew began to notice subtle changes. Lights that blinked in response to their movements, doors that opened and closed on their own, and a faint vibration that seemed to echo their footsteps. Elena realized that the ship was testing them, observing them, and communicating in the only way it could. And humans, ever resourceful, were ready to respond. "Captain," Tariq said, pointing to a symbol that repeated across several panels. "I think this is a warning. The bell isn't just an alarm, it's a signal. Something is happening or will happen, and it's letting us know." Elena's brow furrowed. "We need to find out what it's warning us about. That's why we're here." The team split up to explore the remaining sections of the chamber. Strange readings appeared on the monitors. Energy fluctuations, time distortions, and spatial anomalies that seemed to bend the laws of physics. The ship was a puzzle, one that demanded human ingenuity. Suddenly, a soft glow filled the room, emanating from the floor. The bell rang again, louder this time, vibrating through the chamber and into the crew's bones. It was no longer just a sound. It was a message, a presence, almost alive. Elena stepped forward. "It's guiding us," she whispered, "or warning us. Either way, we follow." The team advanced cautiously, each step echoing against the alien walls. And as they moved deeper into the heart of the ship, Elena felt that familiar spark of human determination. No matter how alien, how impossible the challenge, humans would rise. They had survived countless trials, and this would be no different. The bell rang once more, then fell silent. For a moment there was only the hum of the ship, the faint glow of the panels, and the steady, unyielding determination of the crew. They were humans, explorers, and problem solvers, standing on the edge of a mystery that no one else could face. Elena took a deep breath. "Let's find out what we're dealing with," she said, voice steady, "because humans don't run from the unknown. We face it." And with that, the crew moved forward into the darkness, toward the mysteries that awaited them deep within the ghost ship. The deeper the crew ventured into the alien ship, the more alive it seemed. The corridors shifted subtly as they walked, walls curving at angles that defied logic. Lights glimmered along surfaces, flickering in patterns that hinted at some unspoken intelligence. Every step echoed in ways that made their ears strain for other sounds. The ship itself was breathing, or at least it felt that way, and the bell's haunting chimes had become a guide, an unseen hand leading them further inside. Captain Elena Rourke moved deliberately at the front, her suit lights cutting through the dim corridors. Her crew followed closely, eyes scanning the walls, consoles, and floors. Tariq's hands moved over the alien panels, attempting to translate the symbols into something comprehensible. He had made progress, slowly piecing together patterns that suggested the ship's systems were far more advanced than any human design. "This is unlike anything we've ever seen," Tariq murmured, voice tense with awe. "It's as if the ship is alive, but in a way we can't measure. The symbols, the energy flows, they respond to us. Every move we make triggers a change." Elena nodded. "That's exactly what I was feeling. Humans can read patterns, understand systems, even when they seem impossible. We'll figure this out, Tariq. That's what we do." As they turned another corner, the bell rang again. The sound was louder this time, resonating in the walls and floors, shaking the crew slightly. But it wasn't just noise. It carried weight, as if it were a message meant to be understood, not just heard. "Listen," Elena whispered, pausing to let the sound settle. "It's trying to tell us something." The crew stopped and listened intently. The bell's chime seemed to form a rhythm, repeating in intervals that almost resembled a language. Tariq frowned, studying the panels again. "There's structure here," he said. "It's not random. It's reacting to us, guiding us." Elena moved closer to the nearest console. "Then we follow. Step by step. We don't rush. Humans have patience where other species might panic." As they pressed on, they entered a larger chamber, a central hub of some kind. The room's walls curved upward into a dome that shimmered faintly, almost translucent. Energy flowed along the surfaces like liquid light, pooling in areas before dispersing again. At the center stood a massive structure, a core of unknown origin, pulsing softly with a rhythm that seemed in sync with the bell's toll. "This must be the heart of the ship," Elena said, her voice echoing in the vast chamber. "Everything we've seen so far has been connected to it." Tariq approached cautiously, running his gloved hands along the glowing panels surrounding the core. "It's a control system," he said. "Or maybe more than that. I can't tell if it's mechanical, biological, or something in between. The energy here, it's alive." The bell rang again, and this time it seemed to resonate with the core itself. Light pulsed in response to the sound, and the crew could feel a subtle vibration in the floor, as though the ship's heartbeat were echoing through them. Suddenly, one of the junior crew members, Lena, pointed toward a console. "Look! It's showing something!" Elena and Tariq rushed over. The display had shifted, symbols glowing brighter and forming a pattern that resembled a map, or perhaps a set of instructions. Tariq leaned in, squinting. "I think it's a warning," he said. some kind of alert system. The bell isn't just ringing, it's telling us something is about to happen. Maybe a system overload, maybe a structural failure, I don't know yet. Elena's mind raced. If the ship were failing, they needed to act fast. But if it were trying to communicate, they had to understand it first. Humans solve problems, she said firmly. We read patterns, we make connections, and we adapt. That's what separates us. Let's find out what it's warning us about. The crew split into teams to investigate. Elena and Tariq moved closer to the core, while the others explored adjoining chambers. They found rooms filled with alien artifacts, containers of unknown materials, and devices that defied human understanding. Some glowed with energy, others hummed faintly, responding to the humans' presence. Every few minutes, the bell rang again. Each toll seemed to correspond to a change in the environment. A light flared, a panel activated, or a door slid open. It became clear to Elena that the ship was alive in a way that humans could interpret through observation and intuition. Hours passed, and progress was slow but steady. Tariq deciphered portions of the symbols, identifying sequences that suggested energy flow and structural integrity. The ship was designed to maintain itself, but something had gone wrong. Perhaps its creators had abandoned it, or perhaps it had been damaged. Either way, the bell served as a guide, warning intruders or helpers of dangers ahead. Elena observed her team as they worked. Fear was present, yes, but so was determination. Humans thrived in situations like this. The unknown pushed them to think harder, act faster, and adapt. This was what set them apart. While the ship was alien and incomprehensible at first glance, human ingenuity and courage could make sense of even the most complex systems. Suddenly, a loud hum filled the chamber. The energy flowing along the walls intensified, and the bell rang rapidly, a staccato pulse that vibrated in their chests. Lights flickered, and the room shook gently. "It's reacting to us!" Tariq shouted over the noise. "The bell, the lights, the energy flows, they're all connected." Elena took a deep breath, stepping closer to the core. "Then we engage, we adapt. Humans solve problems. That's what we do." She reached toward the console, following the sequences Tariq had deciphered. With careful precision, she activated one of the energy pathways, redirecting a flow that had been unstable. The bell chimed once, then paused, almost as if acknowledging their action. Encouraged, Tariq adjusted another sequence, and the energy patterns in the room began to stabilize. The bell's toll became slower, more deliberate, and the vibrations less intense. The crew felt a wave of relief, but they knew this was only the beginning. Elena moved through the chamber, checking on each team member. Lena and the others had discovered additional control panels, each requiring a unique approach. The ship was testing them, assessing human problem-solving, and the crew rose to the challenge. Hours merged into what felt like days. Time in the alien ship was strange, distorted by its systems. The bell continued to toll intermittently, a constant reminder that the ship was aware of their presence. Yet with each sequence they corrected, with each energy flow they stabilized, the crew felt a growing connection to the vessel. Humans were capable of understanding patterns, of interpreting signals, of adapting to unknown environments. This ship, ancient and alien, was no match for their ingenuity. Finally, they reached a chamber that appeared to be the ship's main nexus. The core pulsed brightly, energy radiating outward in waves. Symbols covered the walls, forming a complex network of information that Tariq described as a language of logic and energy. "This is it," Elena said, awe in her voice. "This is what the ship has been warning us about. Whatever danger it senses is centered here." Tariq nodded. "I can reroute some of the flows, stabilize others. But there's one system I don't understand. It's the one triggering the bell. We need to figure it out, or the ship might react unpredictably." Elena placed a hand on his shoulder. We'll figure it out together. Humans solve the impossible every day. That's who we are. As they worked, the bell rang once more, louder than before, vibrating through the walls and into their very bones. The sound carried urgency now, almost like a heartbeat racing toward a climax. The crew redoubled their efforts, following patterns, testing sequences, and observing the ship's reactions. Minutes felt like hours, but finally, Tariq found the sequence. "Here," he exclaimed, "if we adjust this channel, it should stabilize the core and stop the bell from ringing." Elena nodded. "Do it, slowly, carefully. Humans don't panic. We adapt." The adjustments were made, energy flowed correctly, and the bell rang one final time before falling silent. The vibration stopped, and the chamber felt still, as though the ship itself were exhaling after a long, tense moment. Elena exhaled, her body relaxing for the first time since they had boarded. "We did it," she said softly. "Humans did it." The crew gathered, tired but triumphant. They had faced an alien intelligence, navigated unknown systems, and solved a problem no one else could. The ship's bell had been a warning, a guide, and a test, but humans had risen to the occasion. Tariq looked around, still in awe. "It's incredible. The ship responded to us, but it also let us help. We've proven that humans can understand, adapt, and overcome, even something completely alien." Elena smiled, her eyes scanning the glowing chamber. "That's what HFY is about. Humans face the unknown, the impossible, and we rise. No matter how strange, how dangerous, or how unfamiliar the challenge, we survive, and we prevail." As they prepared to explore the remaining chambers, they knew this was only the beginning. The ship had more mysteries, more systems, and perhaps more warnings. But the crew was ready. Humans had proven their worth once again, and the universe would continue to test them. And when it did, they would rise. The bell had rung at midnight, though no wind blew. It had guided them, warned them, and challenged them. And through it all, humans had shown what they always showed: ingenuity, courage, and the ability to face the unknown without fear. The core of the alien ship pulsed quietly now, stabilized but still brimming with energy. Captain Elena Rourke surveyed her team, all of them weary from hours of exploration, analysis, and problem-solving. Despite fatigue, there was a spark of triumph in their eyes, a human spark that refused to be extinguished. Humans had faced the unknown and emerged victorious, but they all knew that the heart of the mystery still lay deeper within the ship. Tariq leaned against the console, reviewing the data streams flowing across the glowing panels. "We've stabilized most of the systems," he said, voice filled with awe. "But there's still one segment, the temporal matrix. It seems linked to the bell. I can't fully understand it, but it's delicate. One wrong step, and we could trigger a massive reaction." Elena nodded. "Then we proceed carefully. Humans adapt. That's what we do. We think, we observe, and we solve." The crew split into teams again. Lena and two others moved toward the side chambers, cataloging alien artifacts and energy conduits, while Elena and Tariq approached the deeper core pathways. Every step felt heavier than the last, as if the ship were testing their courage, their intelligence, their resolve. The bell remained silent for now, a temporary calm that seemed almost too quiet after the chaos they had faced. As they advanced, strange readings began to appear on the monitors. Temporal distortions caused minor fluctuations in the crew's sense of time. Elena glanced at her watch, but the numbers seemed unreliable, shifting in ways that made her head spin. "It's like time itself is bending inside this vessel," she said aloud, trying to keep her voice steady. Tariq frowned, analyzing the readings. "It's subtle but consistent. The bell ringing. I think it's linked to temporal instability. Every toll warns of a fluctuation that could destabilize the ship. If we ignore it, the systems could collapse. Elena's jaw tightened. Then we don't ignore it. We face it. Humans survive by thinking clearly, adapting quickly, and trusting their skills. They entered the largest chamber yet, a vast dome of light and energy. The air, or at least what passed for air in this enclosed environment, felt charged. The walls shimmered with symbols that shifted and reformed continuously, a living script of alien logic. At the center floated an orb of energy, the temporal matrix itself, radiating pulses that distorted the very space around them. Tariq stared at it, nearly transfixed. "This is incredible," he whispered. "It's alive, in a way. It reacts to our presence, our movements. The bell, it's not just a warning, it's a guide. It tells us how to stabilize it." Elena took a step forward. "Then we follow it, step by step. Human ingenuity isn't about fear. It's about observation, learning, and action. That's how we survive, and that's how we prevail." The bell rang, piercing the chamber with its metallic chime. The sound vibrated through the walls, through the crew, and into the core itself. Tariq's eyes widened as he interpreted the sequence. "It's showing us the path. We adjust the energy flows in this sequence, or the temporal matrix could spiral out of control." Elena nodded and stepped toward the nearest control interface. Her hands moved over the panels, following the rhythm dictated by the bell. Energy flowed beneath her fingers, shifting and stabilizing as she redirected currents, rerouted feedback loops, and synchronized the alien systems with precision. Every movement required calm focus. Every decision mattered. Humans had solved impossible problems before. Now they were doing it again, in a way that no one else in the universe could. The bell tolled again, faster this time, echoing through the chamber with urgency. The orb of energy pulsed violently, sending waves of distortion outward. The crew felt themselves pulled in different directions, as if the room itself were alive and testing their resolve. "Steady!" Elena shouted. "Humans are not easily broken. We face what others fear. We adapt and we rise." Tariq mirrored her movements, adjusting secondary conduits and stabilizing feedback loops. Slowly, the energy pulses began to harmonize with the bell's rhythm. The temporal distortions lessened, and the orb's violent vibrations calmed. The room fell into a tense quiet. The bell's toll had slowed, almost as if it were watching them, assessing their abilities. Elena wiped sweat from her brow, breathing deeply. "We've done it so far," she said. "But we can't stop now. Humans finish what they start." They turned their attention to the surrounding panels, discovering additional sequences and controls. The temporal matrix was complex, far more intricate than anything human technology had ever achieved, but humans had an advantage: adaptability. Where alien logic was rigid, human thought could find flexibility, intuition, and creativity. Hours blurred as they worked. The crew coordinated perfectly, moving in unspoken harmony, reading the bell's signals, interpreting energy flows, and applying human ingenuity to stabilize the ship. Every challenge they faced, the unpredictable shifts in the orb, the strange alien interfaces, the cryptic warnings, was met with calm reasoning and precise action. Finally, they reached the core's final control sequence. This section was critical. One mistake could send the temporal matrix into catastrophic instability, potentially destroying the ship and anyone aboard. The bell tolled again, louder, more insistent, a heartbeat synchronized with the orb. Elena studied the panel. "This is it," she said. "The final step. Humans have solved harder problems before. We understand patterns, we adapt, we act. Let's do this." She began the sequence, her hands steady. The orb responded immediately, pulsing in alignment with her inputs. Tariq followed her adjustments, fine-tuning secondary conduits. The bell's chimes shifted from warning to guidance, each toll marking a successful alignment in the system. Minutes stretched into what felt like an eternity. The energy orb flickered, then stabilized. Panels glowed steadily, and the bell rang one final time before falling silent. The temporal distortions disappeared, leaving the chamber calm and still. Elena exhaled slowly, looking around at her team. They were exhausted, but the sense of accomplishment was palpable. Humans had faced an ancient alien system, navigated incomprehensible energy flows, and used their ingenuity to stabilize a technology no one else could understand. Tariq smiled, disbelief and pride in his eyes. We did it. We actually did it. The ship, it responded to us. It let us stabilize it. No other species could have done this. Elena nodded, feeling a surge of pride for her crew. That's what humans do. We adapt, we learn, and we rise to challenges others can't even comprehend. This is HFY in action. Humans face the impossible, and we prevail. As they examined the stabilized systems, a subtle change occurred. The orb of energy shifted, forming a projection in the center of the chamber. It was faint, almost like a hologram, but unmistakable. A map of the galaxy, dotted with stars, planets, and unknown coordinates. Tariq gasped. It's showing us data, knowledge, coordinates to other systems. Alien civilizations, long-lost colonies. It's giving us its legacy. Elena stepped closer, awe in her voice. Humans earned this. We proved we could understand, adapt, and solve. The ship recognizes our capability. We can take this knowledge, learn from it, and continue the journey it started. The crew moved around the projection, absorbing as much as they could. The alien ship, once a ghostly, silent enigma, had become a repository of wisdom and opportunity. Humans had unlocked its secrets not through brute force, but through intelligence, teamwork, and courage. And then, for the first time since midnight, the bell remained silent. The crew felt the stillness as a reward, a signal that they had completed the test. The ship had accepted their presence, acknowledged their capability, and allowed them to step into the legacy of its creators. Elena looked at her team, pride and relief in her eyes. This is what humans do, she said quietly. We face the unknown, we solve the impossible, and we leave our mark. Nothing can stop us when we work together, think clearly, and trust ourselves. As they prepared to explore the remaining data and artifacts, Elena knew that this was more than just a mission. Humans had proven their worth once again, not to an alien species, not to the galaxy, but to themselves. The bell that rang at midnight, though no wind blew, had been a challenge, a warning, and a guide. And humans had answered. The crew moved forward with renewed purpose. There were more mysteries to explore, more data to understand, and more unknowns in the galaxy, but they were ready. They were humans. They adapted. They solved. They rose. And the universe, for all its unknown dangers and challenges, would continue to witness the rise of humanity. The crew stood in the central chamber, still awed by the projection of the galaxy hovering above the orb of energy. The alien ship had revealed fragments of its creator's knowledge, giving humanity a glimpse into civilizations long vanished. Yet despite the calm, Elena knew that the mission was not over. The ship had guided them here, tested them, and now it waited for the final proof of their ingenuity. Tariq moved closer to the projection, scanning the alien symbols. There's more here than we thought, he said. Coordinates, yes, but also systems instructions, power sources, planetary histories, and some sort of warning. The creators left messages for anyone who could solve the ship's challenges. Elena's eyes narrowed. Then we proceed carefully. Humans face the unknown, yes, but we do it with thought, with observation, and with courage. The orb pulsed gently, as if acknowledging her words. Then suddenly, the silence was broken. The ship's bell rang again, not faintly as before, but clear, resonant, almost commanding. The sound made the chamber vibrate slightly. Elena's team froze for a moment, then adjusted their suits and positions. The bell wasn't just a sound, it was a directive. It seemed to focus attention on a specific section of the chamber where a set of alien consoles glowed more brightly than the others. "This is it," Elena said. "The final challenge. Humans finish what they start. Let's show this ship what we can do." Tariq approached the consoles, analyzing the patterns. "The bell is guiding us to stabilize a secondary system. It looks like a planetary control mechanism. If we fail, it could be catastrophic." Elena's jaw tightened. "Then we don't fail. Humans solve problems others can't. We adapt, we learn, and we act." The crew spread out, each member assigned a console to stabilize. Energy flowed unpredictably, shimmering in patterns that seemed almost alive. The bell tolled repeatedly, marking the sequence they needed to follow. One misstep could overload the system, triggering a chain reaction that might destroy the ship, or worse, destabilize the planet below. Elena moved deliberately, following the rhythm of the bell. Her hands adjusted conduits and redirected energy flows, guided by intuition and careful observation. Humans could read patterns, even alien ones, and they were proving it now. Tariq mirrored her movements on a secondary system, his fingers moving quickly over unfamiliar controls. "The energy is responding," he shouted. "We're stabilizing it. Just a little more." The bell's toll quickened, vibrating through the walls and floors. Lights flickered along the chambers, and the orb pulsed wildly, reacting to every adjustment the crew made. The room seemed alive, aware, and testing their limits. Yet humans never panicked. They adapted, as Elena reminded herself and her team. Minutes passed in tense synchronization. Every adjustment, every sequence, brought them closer to stability. The bell tolled faster, then slowed as if acknowledging their progress. Elena glanced at her team, seeing determination etched on their faces. They were exhausted, but human endurance had carried them this far. Suddenly, a wave of energy surged through the room, throwing a panel into temporary instability. Lights flickered violently, and the orb's pulses became erratic. Lena shouted, "We're losing control on this segment." Elena reacted instantly. "Redirect auxiliary power to the stabilizers," she commanded. "Tariq, follow me. Humans adapt." Together, they worked on the unstable segment, adjusting energy flows, rerouting circuits, and interpreting the alien symbols as best they could. The bell rang again, louder and more insistent, its rhythm guiding their movements like a pulse of life. Finally, the orb's pulses began to synchronize with the crew's adjustments. The energy stabilized gradually, the lights became steady, and the bell fell silent, leaving only the hum of the ship's systems. The room seemed to exhale, as if the ship itself acknowledged their success. Tariq stepped back, his chest heaving. "We did it. The system is stable. The planet below, it's safe." Elena nodded, pride swelling in her chest. "Humans face the impossible and adapt. That's who we are. The bell rang to challenge us, to warn us, and we rose to meet it. That's humanity." The projection above the orb shifted, forming a clearer image of the galaxy. Paths lit up, showing safe travel routes, resource locations, and star systems where intelligent life might still exist. The alien ship wasn't just a vessel, it was a guide, a guardian, and now a teacher. Humans had proven themselves worthy. Lena approached Elena quietly. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "The knowledge here. Humans can use this to explore, to expand, to protect. We're standing on the legacy of a species that faced the universe, just like us." Elena smiled. "And we'll carry it forward. Humans learn, humans adapt, and humans survive. That's what the ship recognized. We're capable of more than we often believe. This is just the beginning." The crew spent hours cataloging the information, recording data, and mapping the projected star systems. They moved carefully, knowing the ship had tested them thoroughly and that respect for the unknown was essential. Humans didn't dominate blindly. They observed, learned, and applied their knowledge wisely. As the final sequences were completed, the ship emitted a soft, steady glow. The bell had rung at midnight, though no wind blew, and now it was silent. It had tested, warned, and guided, and humanity had risen to meet the challenge. The alien ship acknowledged their ingenuity, courage, and adaptability, granting them access to knowledge few species would ever encounter. Elena gathered her crew in the central chamber. "Look around," she said. "Humans solved the impossible. We faced an alien intelligence, adapted to its tests, and came out stronger. This knowledge, this ship, these systems, they are now part of our journey. Humanity rises by facing the unknown and conquering it with courage and ingenuity." Tariq looked at the orb, still glowing softly. "It's more than technology," he said. "It's a testament to problem-solving, teamwork, and adaptability. The ship trusted us. Humans earned that trust." Elena nodded. "Trust is given to those who prove themselves. And humans, we always rise to the occasion." They prepared to leave the central chamber, their minds racing with possibilities. The ship was stable, the systems functional, and the projection offering guidance for exploration. Yet as they walked through the corridors back toward the airlock, Elena couldn't shake the sense that the universe itself had noticed. Humans were not just survivors. They were innovators, explorers, and problem solvers capable of rising to any challenge. The docking bay came into view, and the shuttle waited silently. Elena paused, looking back at the alien ship. It was no longer a ghost, no longer a mystery merely to be feared. It was a partner in knowledge, a challenge overcome, a testament to human potential. "Let's return home," she said softly. "We've earned more than data today. We've earned the proof that humans can rise above the unknown." The crew boarded the shuttle, taking one last look at the ship. The orb's glow faded gradually as they detached, the ship remaining stable, silent, and aware. Humans had faced its tests, and now the galaxy was open to them in new ways. The universe was wide, full of unknowns, but humanity had proven itself worthy of exploration, discovery, and survival. As the shuttle maneuvered into orbit, Elena reflected on the journey. The bell had rung at midnight, a warning, a guide, and a test. Humans had faced fear, confusion, and danger, and they had prevailed. Every challenge had been met with observation, intelligence, and courage. They had solved the impossible, and in doing so, proved that humanity could rise to meet any challenge the universe offered. The projection faded from their minds as they returned to the station, but its lessons remained. Humanity's ingenuity, adaptability, and courage had been recognized, not just by the ship, but by themselves. They had learned that the unknown was not something to fear, but something to meet with preparation, teamwork, and confidence. Humans always rose. Elena looked at her crew, tired but proud. "We've faced the impossible. We've solved what no one else could. And we've learned that humans, our species, are capable of anything when we work together, think clearly, and never give up." The crew nodded, understanding fully what had been accomplished. They had explored the unknown, faced an alien intelligence, and emerged stronger. Humanity had been tested and had proven itself. As the shuttle returned to the station, the galaxy stretched out around them, vast and full of mysteries. Humans were ready. They had seen what lay ahead, and they had the courage, ingenuity, and determination to face it. The bell had rung at midnight, though no wind blew, and humanity had answered. It was a quiet victory, yet profound. The unknown no longer held fear. It held opportunity. Humans could rise to any challenge, solve any problem, and leave their mark on the universe. And as the stars spread out before them, Elena knew that this was only the beginning. Humanity's journey into the cosmos was just beginning, and nothing could stop them. They had faced the impossible, they had risen, and the universe would remember.